Bianca.
And I'm SJ.
And this is ScreenGab, and today we're reviewing everything.
Everything.
Woo! What did you think of it?
I liked it overall.
Cool.
It's very cute. I had a very good time watching it because it was so cute.
I really, really liked this movie, and I say that from a point of bias and a point of privilege, which I'll elaborate on later, but I really, really like this movie.
I feel like if you like the trailer, you're going to like the movie. If you see the trailer and you're like, that doesn't look like my kind of movie. It's like a teen romance and you're right. Go ahead and stay away if that's not your thing. But if it is your thing, like it is mine, go for it. You will not regret it.
So I had a really visceral reaction to this movie, and like part of it was sadness, but part of it was happiness, but I literally cried for like half of this movie, which I don't think is normal at all. But it wasn't like, beside myself sobbing, but I was like crying.
But like sad crying or like happy crying or like just these are emotions?
Both.
Okay.
And also just like, oh my god, this thing is happy, which I guess is happy. And you're just like, oh, that's so cute. And it just overstimulates you, so you
I would
start
say
crying.
it is not unusual for me to cry at movies. So
Okay. It's definitely unusual for me. But I think part of the reason that I had a visceral reaction was that Maddie, who's the main character, she has SCID, severe combined immune deficiency. And so, at least in the film, it's such that she has to stay inside all the time. The way that it's portrayed in this film is that she can't go and live her life the way she wants to. So there was that, and I felt like I could relate to that, not really in a way so much by force, but just like being an inward person. Yeah. What I could relate to from this character as well as myself is just like regardless of what's causing you to be inward, like having to make the choice to like then not the difficulties of doing that. So I felt like I could really relate to that. And then I felt like the most unimportant of the three was that this character is also biracial, half black. If this character was like South Asian or Native American or white, like I would still be able to relate to the character and still like it. But I think that because it was more similar to me, I just felt a lot like more like realized in watching it, and so that had a really big effect on me.
And can we say the actress is Amanda Sternberg, and you might have seen her if you watched The Hunger Games. She was Rue, but she's grown up now. And she was amazing. She had a really great performance. There were a lot of scenes where it was kind of just like her facial reaction, and I was like, oh my gosh, she nailed it.
She is also like an aggressive, like cute face.
Yeah.
Like, dude. What I felt like I liked most about this movie, I saw, I think like a poster for this movie at first, and then on Instagram, like weeks later, I saw like a 30-second teaser clip. And that was all I saw of this movie. And so I had my own like ideas about like, which I'll get into later, but I was just like, I didn't know a lot about it, and I decided I wasn't going to read anything else about it. I didn't read the book, I just left alone.
Whereas I did.
Yeah. I didn't go into any forums or any places where people were talking about it, but I assumed that something that people talked about was like the parallel, this character's story, making choices to go outside, quote, people who are inward for whatever reason, making choices to try to be less of that or like be outward or whatever.
I mean, I think that that's kind of in like the tagline of how it was advertised.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even see the tagline. What's the tagline?
I don't remember, but let me look it up really quick. Something about, like, what would you risk for love? So, I mean, it's centering it around the romance, but like that's kind of central to her, to her arc is like, what kind of life do I want to have? What is it worth, kind of pushing myself or taking risks that I don't normally take in order to have this experience? Or
just by itself, not thinking about anything else, I did like that, but it was one of the things that I kind of thought, before I saw this movie, that I was like, what does that mean? Because, like, all I really knew was that, like, she couldn't go outside and that it was probably because she had some sort of illness or a disability. I didn't really know what it was, so I was like, okay, there's potential here for, like, how is that gonna come across in this film? Like, will it be ableist in its, like, portrayal? But like I'm saying, I didn't really think about it too much. Like, one other thing that I did think before I saw this movie that I was kind of like, was that it seems like this girl doesn't, like, she's not living an exciting life or a fulfilling life until this, so far as I know, able-bodied white boy moves in next door. And so it's like, I was just kind of like, I'm not sure, but I just decided, you know what, I'm not going to read into this, I'm just going to go see this. So,
So did you think, after seeing it, did you think that was the
narrative? I think you could definitely make that argument, but I don't think it was like the primary driving narrative.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think what is much more the driving narrative is that, like, disabled people don't live full lives.
Maybe, yeah.
I felt like that. I felt like that was a much more apparent
I think it's not like
thing and problem.
I don't see it saying like she didn't have a fulfilling life before she met him. I think it's more that she was satisfied with her life, and then she met him and was like, I also want this other thing that I didn't, that I hadn't experienced before and wasn't missing. But now that I've like met him and become attached to him, I can't imagine not having him anymore.
Okay,
Is how but I think that your point is also valid because it's like
perspectives. I think that because
maybe my perception is colored by having read the book too, because she has a lot
I
more
haven't read
like
the book
inner.
at all. SJ didn't like lean over to me until after we watched the movie. They were like, "Well, they didn't do this and this like they did in the book," and and I was like, "Oh, that would have been interesting." And like genuinely, I would have liked seeing that, and you would have all benefited from seeing that. But anyway, we'll get into what that stuff is later. I do still think that it is an issue. Like, I think that it's ableist and it's a problem with this movie. However, I still really like this movie.
Yeah, I think that it's partly because, like, if it was a story about, like, her having SCID, or, spoiler alert, her actually not having SCID and her mother, like, lying to her about it and keeping her trapped and not letting her immune system develop and all this, like, if that was all that the story was about, then maybe it would have been handled differently, but it's like, that's sort of just a background to the YA romance, which is really the focus of it.
Yeah.
So I
think that I do agree that the YA romance is, like, the focus of it, but I think that it's, like, this illness or disability is being used as, like, a plot device.
Yes, and maybe not in the most sensitive way.
No, definitely not in the most sensitive way at all. I think that you still could have made a story where a girl had SCID and you
Also
could talk about her issues with that, and then have a boyfriend who she was into and, like, was doing risky stuff with, where she could still go outside and all of these things.
Yeah.
Like, I think you could have still written it, not you.
Or even if it was just, like...
compelling story could have still been written that way. I don't think that it's, like, makes the movie 100% bad, but I do think that it is a problem.
If she had really had SCID, but, like you were saying, like, it is treatable, like,
yeah,
you maybe can't do everything, but what if it was that she really has it, she wants to take more risks than her mom wants her to take because her mom is still, like, overprotective.
Which is, like, totally normal.
So she's having to,
and,
like negotiate for, like, okay, but I'm 18, it's my life, and I want to go outside.
Yeah, it's totally still a coming-of-age story and a
I
romance story. Like, you still could have done that. It's totally possible. I think my thing is, like, if there was more disability in stories in any type of media, and there was a variety of this, like, using it as a plot device, but also a lot of it being seen as just, like, this nuanced thing that all sorts of people genuinely deal with, I probably wouldn't have been so, like, this is bad. But, like, most of the time, this is how disability is treated in films. It's either, like, this super scary thing, or it's, like, used as a plot device, and it's kind of like a side note. And
or
then
it's,
in
like,
this
something
instance,
to overcome.
Yes, exactly. And then, like, and so in this instance, too, it turns out, like SJ was saying, that, like, she doesn't actually have it. Which is just, like, she's been kept inside, like, all of her life. And the only people that have come into her house that she remembers seeing are her mom, her nurse's daughter, and then now, I totally don't know his name, the boy next door.
Ollie.
Those are the only people. She's been alive for, like, 18 years. I mean,
she has a lot of online relationships. But
and she does see her dad and her brother, but, like, she doesn't remember them.
Yeah.
And so it's, like, essentially, the only people that have come into her house have been those people. Just, like, I can't imagine after all that time just being like, oh, I actually don't have this at all. And it was such a huge, especially the way this character's written. Like, I would think, because her mom is also a doctor, her mom seems pretty knowledgeable, even though it turns out that, like, she's, like, unnecessarily keeping her inside.
Yeah, she doesn't have any objectivity when it comes to her daughter. And,
no, at all.
And we should say, to be fair to the mom, like, she's reacting to this trauma of having lost her husband and son. And when Maddie's a baby, and so that's partly why she's like, oh, I have to protect her, I have to make sure she never gets sick. And it's clearly not reality-based decision.
I think the thing is, like, unless her mom's not to be believed, it does seem that Maddie was sick when she was younger, but that her mom just came to the wrong conclusion about why she was sick.
Like, she's like, so
it's not totally unfounded, but it's not like it's the wrong conclusion to come to based off of what you can't find.
Well, and, like, if it was another baby that she was treating, like, I assume that she would have diagnosed correctly, but that she was unable to separate her.
And also have the right treatments, which don't involve staying inside forever. I really like the way this movie looked. It was very, like, modern, bright, simple, but kind of, like, saturated. Like, everything about this movie was modern. Everything. Yes. Except maybe, like, Ollie's truck. Everything about this movie was modern. Like, the house she lived in. Even her, like, dream sequences when, like, they're in space, or she's in that library, or even, like, the places that... Like, she takes an online class for, like, architecture or something. And so she has, all of her designs,
Models.
and they are like all like really modern. So it had that look about it.
I think that was sort of a disadvantage that the whole thing was these really like bright, clean colors, because I think it was a little bit hard to visually like distinguish between her real life and then like the sort of like dream fantasy sequences where she was talking to him, because really all their conversation is happening like over text messages or online. But they, filmmakers were like, well, that's boring. Let's have them actually be talking to each other, except in a fantasy sequence, so you understand that these are text messages. But I mean, there were some visual cues. In her real life, she's like always wearing white for at least the first half of the movie, and then in the dream sequence, she would be wearing like a bright colored top or like jeans or something, and they would be like inside one of her, like architecture models or something. But it had like the same type of color scheme other than her wardrobe as the other scenes. So I wanted there to be more of a separation of like
contrast.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
There's one towards later on in the film where they're actually like in space and she's like breaking up with him, and then she's like floating away as like an astronaut. And I liked that one the best because it was the most like distinct, the most like obviously this is a conversation that they're having. They're not really in space, but this is how she feels. And I like that one. It was a good visualization of how she was distancing herself from him by literally floating away in space in her emotions.
I was going to say, what do you think that's like trying to imply? But then you just said it. Okay, I was curious.
Well, and they have, she mentions kind of earlier on that she relates to astronauts because they're like trapped in this spacesuit and they can't like actually interact with the world. And that she feels similarly trapped. And she puts an astronaut in all of her architecture models. And that is in the book.
I also wanted to say, I really like the kissing in this movie.
Oh my gosh, I loved the kissing!
I am notorious. I don't like kisses in film. It always makes me really uncomfortable, and I don't like it. The only other time I watched a movie and I was like, I like this, was really strangely in Snowden. Was that like 2015 or last year? I was just like, it was the cutest kiss. I was like, I love that. It's the only time. And then I saw this movie and I was like, oh my gosh, this is happening for a second time. Except for like a second, third, or fourth, fifth, however many times they kissed this movie. They kissed a lot. It was really cute and I liked it. That was a plus.
They had really sweet kisses. And they also had like a really like PG sex scene, which I appreciated because I don't really need to see,
So I was like drinking water and she was like PG sexy. I was like trying not to choke. Yeah, it was very PG sexy.
Yes, we get it. We know what's happening and we don't need to see cracks and crevices and it's fine. I liked it. It was very sweet. It was all very sweet.
It was all very
sweet. Okay, so they had like two kisses that I really, really liked. Which, I mean, the first one, where they're, like, at her house and it's 4th of July, and there's fireworks outside, right?
And I called that.
Yes, you did.
I was like, it's the 4th of July, I bet they're going to start kissing, there's going to be fireworks.
And they
like,
did. And
it's kind of a trope, so maybe it's not, too hidden. It's kind of obvious
it's okay,
thing, but
it's
still.
a great trope. But the other one I really liked was when they went to Hawaii, and he was like, teaching her how to swim. He's like teaching her how to back float, and then he like just lays down and just kisses her, and it's just really cute. Okay.
Yup. Oh my god. Yeah. Really, really cute. So yeah, so there was that, and I also really like the sound. I noticed, like, I really liked. I'm pronouncing this person's name wrong. They had Alicia, Kara, and Zed. The song "Stay," which I'd heard a lot. I liked that, but they also had Sound and Color by Alabama Shakes. I really like that song. But also there was a lot of silence in this film, and I thought it kind of allowed you to just focus on the characters and what they were doing and really just try and understand what was going on through their emotions and actions. Like, I just noticed a lot there would just be like no sound. And I was like, I am loving this.
How did you feel about Ollie? Like,
he was cute. That was actually something that really surprised me. Like, in the trailer, he kind of seems like, like they're trying to pass him off as like this perfect boy. And it's not that he's like, awful, because he's not. Like, he's very cute and he's nice. But it's so much more like, there's this part where she's like, oh, you're just different than I imagined. Like, that scene in like the trailer and clip, it's like really cute. Like, oh, you're just different than I imagined. He's like a lot sexier, right? And then in the movie, it's that whole interaction is right after. It's just like this is really awkward. I've
Yes.
never actually spent time around you
That's part of what
before.
was so cute about the movie, though, that it really...
It was so much more nuanced than I thought it was
Yeah.
going to be. Like, and it is like, you know, it's like a young adult relationship movie, romance movie. But even for that, like, it was more nuanced than I was expecting it to be. And so, like, she's, you know, acknowledging that this situation, even though she's interested in him, is, like, really awkward. But then, right after that, he just tells her, you know, because, like, I'm not a prince. And it's like this thing, we're just people.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times you see in romances, like, stuff is just really, like, grand and not realistic. And, I mean, I think you could argue that about this film. But I just thought that interaction, it was really meaningful to me, and I thought it was interesting that they included it. But yeah, I liked him. He's cute. He has a nice truck.
For me, like, he's only, like, cute in this movie. Like, I feel like if I just saw him on the street, I would be like, whatever. And was a little bit cuter in my head when I was reading the book. But he's not, like, uncute. But he's just not 100% cute to me, except he is in the movie because of the styling and directing and the lines that they fed him. But
I think he's pretty cute in the movie and outside the movie. That was the thing, too. I didn't look up well, I knew who Amandla was, but I didn't know who Nick Robinson was until, and, you know, go Googling until, like, the day after I saw this movie. I think he's cute in this movie and outside this movie. I think he has a really nice voice. I really like his voice. And it also took me a while to realize that he was the older brother in Jurassic World. And I was like,
oh, okay.
I do have to say, I didn't think he was cute in that movie, but he may have also been, like, under 18, so good on you for not thinking he was cute in that movie.
Another thing about their, like, sort of awkward interactions, though, there's a really cute scene where, I think it's, like, the first time they meet, or maybe it's the second time, but they're, like, sitting across the room from each other, talking, and then there's, like, subtitles of what they're thinking.
Oh, my God!
Like, I don't even remember what they, like, actually are saying out loud, but he thinks, like, oh, man, I should have got my haircut, she really hates it, and then she thinks, like,
your hair could save my life.
They're talking about, like, school, and he's thinking, like, she thinks I'm dumb, and she's thinking, like, he's so smart. And
their thoughts really are just contradicting each other, and so they're both just nervous about nothing, but it's totally adorable.
Yeah. Another minor thing, and then I want to talk a little bit about comparing it to the book. So, we talked about this right after we watched it, but I did not like her outfit at the end, okay?
See, and I told you that I think that they...
Let me describe what she's wearing. So at the very end, she goes to New York City to, like, meet up with them.
On her credit card, this is the thing too. I have something to say about that. Okay.
Well, that's
she
a different
goes
story.
to New York City. Isn't she in, like, California?
Yeah.
Okay. So she goes
she's,
to New
like,
York
gonna
City
meet him
from
at a
California.
bookstore if he's going to show up. She, like, says, like, I'm going to meet this bookstore at this time. If you want to meet me, whatever.
Yeah.
But she's wearing, like, this, like, turtleneck with, like, a blazer with, like, I don't know. It's, like, very stiff and formal, and... It doesn't look like something an 18-year-old would wear, unless...
I would say, like, this very, like, pastel
it's very,
green
like,
look.
businesswoman, like...
Yeah. See, but I think that it can kind of look like, dude, who dressed her? But I also think it can look like, this is what someone has never left her house thinks looks cool. Like,
yeah, maybe, but, like, she has the internet.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, she's never been outside. Like, I feel like that can have an effect.
Yeah, it could. I just wanted her to be wearing a cuter
that's
outfit.
That's my argument.
Also, in that scene in the book, when she sees him again, he has cut his hair, and he did not cut his hair in the movie.
Yeah.
And it's fine, but I thought that he would maybe look cuter if he did.
It's just a notable difference.
It's a very minor nitpick.
I want to know what you think she should have been wearing. I need, like, exact details.
I don't know.
No, we can totally take the time. There can be long pauses.
Maybe just like a summer dress. I don't know.
Just not that.
they don't. I don't think that they describe in the book what she's actually wearing. There is a lot of discussion about her wardrobe because she does always wear white until she gets herself a credit card. She starts buying shirts. She buys like these bright colored T-shirts in like every different color.
Yeah, and totally lies to her mom and says that her nurse Carla got them for her, which.
But in the book, it's like it's like one of her first attempts to be like, oh, I want to like find out what I like and what I want to do versus just like accepting what my mom gives me and tells me.
Yeah.
And she like wears different ones, and then one day she's wearing one, and I think it's like orange, or maybe it's blue. But like Ollie tells her, oh, you should always wear that color. It's really good on you. And then she like always wears that color. So something in that color. So she should be wearing, obviously.
Oh, that's true. See, but I don't think he ever tells her that in the movie.
No, he doesn't. They just have her wear blue.
Okay.
Because she only buys the one shirt in the movie, and it's blue. And then I guess then she buys the swimming
suit. But he never tells her like
Hawaii.
what color she should wear.
No, he doesn't.
It's just more like he sees her in that swimsuit and is like, you look nice. Like, this is awkward. Like, something that I also thought was ridiculous was, like, very near the beginning of the movie, they're just kind of setting up a lot of this, you know, so that you understand this girl's life and that she never leaves her house. She has, like, several white shirts, but the number that she says she has is, like, a lot. Like,
yeah, she says she has, like, 100 or something.
You don't need 100 white shirts. It's like, dude.
Especially given that they have to, like, sterilize them. You'd think you would want less because you're going to have to put them through such, like, a rigorous washing process. I think that was,
just weird.
A little bit of a
weird. But also kind of funny and something I like to pick at. Like, there's no way. I don't need 100 shirts. Kim Kardashian doesn't need 100 shirts. Literally no one needs 100 t-shirts. No one at all. Anyway.
I think overall, though, it's pretty similar to the book. Like, there's definitely some things that the book has that they didn't incorporate, and there's things that are in the movie that weren't actually in the book, but I feel like they fit.
Will you name those things? I want to know what they are.
So, well, like, in the book, she has a lot of these drawings that she does that are really cute. Like, in the movie, they have one towards the very beginning.
Yeah.
And then not really, again, until the credits.
Can I interrupt to ask?
Yeah.
Do you think that's something that she really likes doing? Or, like in the book?
I think it's just part of her voice and her storytelling. Like,
okay, see, and that's something...
I mean, it's a different medium, so it doesn't really make sense to have a lot of written stuff unless you're setting it up like Vampire Diaries, where, like, this is all Stefan's diary or Elena's diary.
See, but this is something that I feel like it makes me wonder about, because I feel like the critique that this film is showing someone disabled not living a fulfilling life until...
Yeah,
like,
it takes away from her narrative a little bit.
Yeah, like, I think that's totally something, like, that's something she enjoys doing. That's her voice. And I feel like it's like, okay, if they could incorporate that more into the movie, like, maybe it wouldn't be so, like, blatantly, like, I think it's a cool call out for people who've read the book, but otherwise it just, like, you wouldn't know.
Or they could have her say things without the drawings, like, because one of the drawings is, like, about, like, a diagram of, like, how to kiss someone. That's, like, theoretical for her because she's never kissed someone, but she's, like, met Ollie and she's thinking, like, well, what if we kiss? I need to be prepared. I need to write myself an instruction manual. She could have had some lines about that to herself without the drawing, maybe. But the movie did show her doing her Life is Short book reviews where she would just do, like, a story.
That's true.
That was in the book. I mean, like, and the movie showed her, like, Skyping with people online. Like, the book didn't have that necessarily, but it did say that, like, she had relationships with people online. So I
thought that was interesting, though, too, because it was, like, in the movie, it's like her mom told her she needed to join a support group. And so they have, like, group chats and, like, it's, like, group video.
Yeah.
But she doesn't seem too, like, enthused about it. And so it doesn't really seem like she's good friends with the people she knows online, and which would be interesting because I feel like sometimes something that you see with disability rep is that someone that is disabled has, like, all able-bodied friends, where that would totally be an opportunity to be like, I have other disabled friends. Like, it's not like, you know, like, we do stuff together and, like, you know, like, that could have been a thing too, but it doesn't really seem like she has, like, a lot of online friends. I don't know.
Well,
it could have totally been something that I missed because I may have just been on a high about how cute this movie was and just, like, not thinking about guys, this movie is really cute.
The book doesn't really talk about her having, like, any like particular friendships. Like, yes, she has friends, but she interacts with people and she, like, is sort of friends with her teachers for her homeschool and things like that. But it's different.
Yeah, we didn't get relationships with her teachers at all. That's
no,
interesting.
but they had Rosa, Carla's daughter, instead. Like, in the book, Carla's daughter, she knows about her because Carla tells her about her, and I think they probably chat online or something, but she never comes over. But her architect professor does.
Oh.
To, like, inspect her models.
Dude,
and grade them. So I think they just swapped it out.
I kind of wish they would have done that.
I think I liked having Rosa because it showed, like, her... Because that was sort of some of, like, her having a life, you know, being like, I have this friend
friends.
that... Yeah.
Okay.
I think that was a better decision. And they were able to put it earlier in the film than having the architecture professor come, like, halfway through and be like,
ruin the pace of the film.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's this revelation that her mom has... I was going to say been lying about her having a kid, but it's not that her mom is, like, purposely being deceitful. She's, like, very...
She seems to have her own issues based off of trauma. Of, like, thinking her daughter has kid when she doesn't. And she's a doctor, so, like, who's going to question her sort of thing?
Right. So she I don't know what the right word for it is, what her mother has done, but falsely imprisoned her. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, when it's revealed that Maddie doesn't really have skid, and that, and it's obviously very disruptive for her relationship with her mother. And I think it was handled well in the movie because they have a scene where Maddie's like, I'm really angry at you, but her mom's like hugs her and she's like, well, I still love you. I hope you still love me, but like, there's a clear like acknowledgement that they need to have some separation.
Yeah.
And
Maddie says like, I know that my mom loves me. I know that she loved my dad and my brother. We're very important to her. But like, I want to be able to forgive her for this, but I can't.
Yeah.
And so they just separate for a while, and then she goes to live with Carla.
Yeah. That was good. The one thing that I wish that the movie had incorporated or at least acknowledged that is in the book is that the mom goes to therapy because she needs it.
Yeah.
and part of it is dealing with her. She hasn't been dealing with this grief from her husband and son's death, and so she has to like work through that. Yeah. And so I just think it would have been really healthy to have that in the movie. Be like, by the way, mom went to therapy, which was very necessary and not something to be ashamed of.
Yeah,
and part of the healing process.
Provide more nuance too.
Yeah,
like I think that would be important for this film.
They don't end 100% with their relationship repair, but I feel like if it showed mom going to therapy, that it would give more of a sense of someday they will be okay because they're going to work through it with help of professionals.
I kind of wish they had that too. I feel like I can read this book now. I feel like the book's better.
The book is really cute. I mean, I read it in like a day, and it's very lighthearted. And I mean, I don't know. I keep like characterizing this book and the movie as like really lighthearted, and then I'm like, I feel like that's a spoiler because the premise is so like she can't go outside or she's gonna die. Like, oh, I kind of gave it away. She doesn't die. Otherwise, I wouldn't say lighthearted. But
well, see, I think that's the thing too, though. Like when you're actually like sitting in the theater watching this movie, you're just kind of like, there's no way this person's gonna die, because like everything about this movie is pretty lighthearted. Like even when like confronted with and the audience knows, at least thinking that she has skid, like if she spends too long outside without any treatment, she would die. The way that's presented is just part of the beginning of the movie, and you just understand that.
I think like for people that aren't super aware of this particular movie, they just like peripherally see like it advertised, there's going to be kind of an automatic parallel to Fault in Our Stars, because it's also like a YA with someone who's sick and somebody dies in that one. So I mean, another thing in the movie, it's sort of downplayed or gone over really quickly that when Maddie decides like, oh, I'm gonna go out and experience life, I'm gonna buy a plane ticket to Hawaii and go to Hawaii with Ollie. And she like,
can I say, I love that Ollie's like, you couldn't just go to Southern California, like all the way to Hawaii, and I'm just like, Ollie knows what's up.
Okay, no, let me explain. That is actually in the book. So, in the book, she has all these books that she owns, and she writes in the covers of all of them, like, property of Maddie Whittier, if found, please return, rewards will be, blah, 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 and there's all these, like, random things in each book, which is sort of, she's not really ever going to be able to lend anyone her books, so it's sort of something that she...
There could be a secret robber.
Well,
secret robber in the house. I'm going to steal these books.
So, the things that she writes down is, like, this will be the reward if you return this book to me, are like things that she wants to do that she knows that she will never be able to do. And her copy of The Little Prince was just her favorite book. One of the things it says like rewards include snorkeling with Maddie in Hawaii and seeing the whatever the Hawaiian fish is, that really long name, and walking on the beach at sunset with Maddie in Hawaii, like all these things. And so that's what they do. That's why she goes to Hawaii for the trip. She does all those things with Ollie that she wanted to do in the book. And then also at the end of the book, when they meet up in the bookstore, like, she doesn't say that she's going to be there. She, in her message to him, she's like, this bookstore or this corner or whatever on the S aisle is something for you. And she goes to the bookstore and she's like waiting to see if he's going to show up. What is on the corner of the aisle that she tells him is a copy of this book that she wrote in, like, property of Maddie Whittier, rewards if return include Maddie Whittier.
Oh.
And so he picks up the book and then he turns around and there she is. It's really cute. But they don't really describe in the movie why she wants to go to Hawaii. It's just that she wants to go out. Okay. When he's like, "What are you doing outside? You gotta go back inside." She's like, "Oh, I have gene therapy. It's gonna be fine."
Yeah, that was like introduced. I didn't understand. Like, I don't remember. Like, okay.
It's just...
I am very confused about that, actually. Because she says she's been taking gene therapy and she won't know if it works unless she's outside. And she's like, why would I lie to you? I've never lied to you. But, like, we don't know that she's doing this until she says that to him. Like, I don't remember there ever being a part where she's... So it just seemed really random.
It wasn't really explained quite as well.
I thought maybe she was lying to... Okay.
Yeah, she is lying to...
God, what? See, that's so awful. That's like totally totally presented really bubbly too.
In the book, she says that she's been taking pills, like experimental pills that she got online that her mom doesn't know about, and they'll be
with
fine.
her credit card.
Yes, because the whole point is that she just wants to convince him to go along with her, and she knows that he won't if he thinks that she's actually risking her life.
She's totally
and so she just
justifying
lies to
her
him
lies.
about. Yeah. So, but yeah, it wasn't very clear in the movie, especially because it doesn't I don't feel like it came back to it after she collapsed and goes to the hospital.
Why would I lie to you? I've never lied to you. Like, that's really I don't know.
But she was lying right there. Maybe if it had showed right before that, her being like, I don't know, but then that would sort of ruin it too. I gotta come up with a plan and lie to Ollie. I don't know. Anyway, it's a very minor thing to be concerned about because the important thing is they go to Hawaii and they kiss a lot and it's really cute.
Yes, that is pretty cute. I have a few things about her mom. Like, there was stuff, it's interesting. Maddie talks about her mom as a doctor and how when her mom treats her at home, she's kind of distant but pleasant. Some description like this. And that Maddie likes that.
Or she finds it comforting or something.
Yeah, that she would treat her as she'd treat any patient. But I felt like her mom is weird character. Sometimes she seems very empathetic, but sometimes she does seem strangely just and so it kind of creeped me out, but it didn't make me think, it didn't make me come to the conclusion that Maddie's not actually sick, or at least not as sick as her mom thinks she is, and so she's keeping her inside for no reason. Yeah. I just thought it was something kind of nefarious. It was weird. But anyways, there was that. But what's the other thing? Oh, can we talk about her credit card? Okay, yeah. So in the book and in the movie, she gets a credit card and she gets one really easily. I think that
I think it is kind of easy to get them though.
I feel I've heard stuff that is super easy and I've heard stuff that it's not. I would be interested to know for someone who just turned 18, because I feel it would be kind of different. Because
yeah, but maybe she lied about her income. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how they. I'm more interested in what her credit limit is. I'm
Me
sure
too.
That she could get a
I was
credit
just
card,
dude, man, she's buying these clothes. They're going to Hawaii. She's flying to New York City at the end of the movie. She definitely bought herself a new outfit for that. Maybe she bought it before, I don't know. I'm just saying, she's got to pay this back at some point. Yeah. I'm just dude.
I don't know. I feel
I just thought it was funny. And I was also kind of interested to know, as far as I understand, that people with SCID can go outside if they've had treatment, and it's not as debilitating as it is presented in this movie.
According to her mother, her case is really rare and extreme. Okay.
Yeah, but still, it's not as debilitating as is presented in this movie. In this movie, she never has to go outside. Does she really need a state licensed ID of any sort? And so far as I understand it,
how does she fly?
To travel domestically,
yeah.
So far as I understand it, you need a driver's license or some sort of state ID. It's would she even have that? I mean, she definitely wouldn't have a passport. How? How did she get there?
I feel that's a much bigger question than the credit card. I think it's pretty easy to get a credit card. I mean, the system is set up to they want you to spend the money and be in debt forever, so they're pretty happy to give you. But yeah, how would she get an ID? Because it's not you can get one. It's not her mom could have been oh, for your 16th birthday, you're going to get a photo ID, and we're going to have someone come over and take your picture. They don't do that.
I never want you to go outside ever in your life.
But I mean, you have to go to a place. You can't.
Yeah.
And they didn't really have time for her to be okay, Ollie, let's go to Hawaii. First, let's go to the DMV so I can get a photo ID. Then we'll get on the plane. But I don't know. But I did forget until they were already in Hawaii, because I was how did they rent a car when they got there? But oh yeah, they are 18. I was thinking they were 16, and then I was no, they're 18. And then later they had a 16, and I was that's right, they're 18. It's okay.
Well, really? She's 18 and he's 22.
Oh, actor-wise?
Yeah.
Okay. But in the story,
yeah,
they're both
18. Yeah. It seems part of what makes Maddie make some of her decisions is what's going on with Ollie's family, and that there's this domestic violence issue. His dad is abusive physically towards his mom, and then also
and they only kind of have one or two scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
But in the book, I mean, she's looking out the window every night, and so she sees a lot of stuff.
And so yeah, I guess just want to say that is the thing that's in the movie. They talk about how his mom, she doesn't want to leave him, or she's feels kind of scared too, and Ollie even says that his mom says it's just something different when you love somebody or something like this, and so just kind of the complexity of making decisions to be with someone or to not be with someone because you love them, and how that kind of used to manipulate people or just confuse things. It's kind of weird, and it's certainly something that Maddie takes into account.
It's weird because when Ollie says that, he's yeah, she stays with him even though he's abusive because she says that love makes you crazy. Do you think that's true? And then Maddie's well, yeah, because I'm here with you, or I'm going to Hawaii with you or whatever. Like but those are like, to me, those are like totally different situations.
Those are not situations you want to be put in parallel, man.
Yeah, exactly.
One of those is kind of toxic, and one of those is just more like coming of age, maybe a mistake, maybe a great thing.
Yeah.
Like, those are not the same.
So is that showing like her mindset that she feels like this is like a fatal risk that I'm taking? Like, I think I fully expect to die sometime after this weekend, or and it's worth it, or like, but it's still like really different to be like, the environment.
Really I feel like it was more just like, this would be convenient as opposed to like appropriate to parallel side by side. And there were lots of super convenient
I'm fine with her
stuff
saying that like her relationship with Ollie, it makes her quote unquote crazy enough to take a risk to go to Hawaii with him. But I don't like at all it being brought up by him saying,
abuse.
My mom says
like a domestic abuse situation. It's like,
because isn't that the kind of thing that an abuser might say too? Like, oh, I just hit you because I love you so much and it made me crazy. Like, that is not okay.
Like, no. No. All I do is say, see, this, I feel like what's happening in this movie is that there's kind of like some problematic, like, sometimes ableism, sometimes other stuff, and it's just like right next to this super cute thing.
Yeah.
Like, because they have that convo, and then he's like, so you do love me? And she's like,
I don't know.
Well, no. And then he like, just straight up is like, I love you. And it's just like, why are you putting these things right next to each other?
Yeah.
But it was super cute though. He loves her. Guys, he loves her.
I think we said this right after we watched it. When they're in Hawaii and they have sex, like, Maddie, you're like...
Oh, I was like, dude, none of his fluid
like,
should be anywhere around you.
Yeah.
I mean, if you actually have skin, like, and then let alone, like, getting pregnant, like, I seriously doubt she's on birth control. Like, does he have a condom? They don't bring it up. They don't show anything. You just kind of assume everything's going to be fine, you guys. We don't like know if they had safe sex.
Kind of a bigger risk than going to Hawaii, like...
Right? I was just like, dude, like, I was watching and I was like, well, but they're not going to have sex. They're just going to, like, kiss on the bed. And then it just, like, kept going and I was like... No! Please use protection. Just like there was a lot of like convenient stuff in this movie, but I wasn't bothered by it because this movie is aggressively cute.
It is so cute.
Just stuff like how easy it is for her to get the credit card. Like, how does she travel domestically? I don't think she has any sort of ID on her. But also like their bedrooms, like his, like he doesn't know where her bedroom window is. Like he just moves in. Like he doesn't know. Like he just knows. Oh, maybe he does. He does see her before.
Yeah, when they first moved
so
in.
maybe
He gets off the truck with his skateboard and he's like going slow motion down the sidewalk and he smiles at her and you're
guys, like in any other movie he would have fallen over or something would have like ran into him or he would have ran into something. He totally is just like super chill and cool and like waves at her or something.
Yeah, that was one of his best parts.
But yeah, I did forget that he like sees her, but like I guess he kind of has to assume that where he sees her is her room because... Like, because he also has a sister, and
he throws the rocks up.
Yeah, and it's like, they have to choose their bedrooms, and it's like, his sister could have had the room he wanted, and then he wouldn't have been able to communicate at night through the window with Maddie at all. I'm just saying.
That's a minor concern.
I'm just saying, I thought it was convenient for this movie. I'm trying to think, too, of, like, how many places I've lived at where, like, the building right next to me had a window, like, such that I could see into their house.
Yeah.
I don't think that's very common, but it's super cute for a romance movie.
In the book, she, like, right after they move in, well, when they first move in, Carla is like, don't, get your hopes up, because there previously had been a family living there that Maddie would, like, watch and feel, like, sort of, like, live vicariously through them, and then when they moved away, she got really depressed.
Oh.
It's actually a really good conversation that Carla has with her, because she's like, you are strong, like, I've seen you survive this depression and decide to go on with your life, and you can do anything, even though you are trapped inside. Anyway, so when Ollie's family first moves in, there's a couple of chapters of Maddie being like, this is their schedule. This is what time the dad goes to work, and then this is what time the sister goes to work, and then she comes home and she does this, and she smokes in the garden, and she hides a cigarette so her mom doesn't see, and then Ollie climbs out the window, and he sits on his roof, and like she's just like cataloging their day. There's a little while before he starts like kind of interacting back with her, but she's like watching the whole family,
yeah, and
then
the
she's
movie,
like,
it happens like really quick.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah, no, it's totally good. I'm just saying. I didn't realize that. It happens really quick because Ollie sees her during the day when his family's just moving stuff into the house. Apparently, his mom has a thing where whenever they move, she makes neighbors bundt cakes, and then Ollie and his sister go and give people bundt cakes. And in this situation, that included Maddie's family. Her mom gets really weird, and she's like, no, there's no girl here, or like, no, she's not here. And it's just like, it's like, okay, firstly... this is a young romance. So that's definitely not going to work. I don't know why you think this is going to work. Anyway.
It's a pretty weird lie, too, to say that she's not there when she's literally always there. Yeah. But, I mean, I guess she just doesn't want to tell them that. The stuff that he does with the bundt cake of, like, putting it in the window and, like, having it, like, be at various death scenes with the cake. Yeah. That's all in the book.
Oh. I totally
forgot
about
like,
that.
She keeps, like, commenting on how, like, in her little inner monologue where she's or I guess it's more like a journal where she's like, oh, this is what time they did this and that. She's like, oh, it must be really gross.
In any other situation, this would be super creepy, like, immediately. Where this one, it's like, yeah, but this character can never go outside. It's like, oh my gosh. Okay.
But, like, the cake never, like, what's the word I'm thinking of? You know how normal food, like, decomposes after a while? But it's just like, it's little, like, solid, like,
that's round. The real twist, you guys. The bundt cake is plastic.
Well, they kind of show that in the movie, too, because, like, when it falls off the plate right at the beginning, and it just, like, bounces, and it's all in one piece still.
I totally forgot about this.
And then he shows it out the window, and then later it's back in the window and it's all in one piece. It's because it's a terrible cake that's really hard and dry. Yes.
Maybe we can do like closing thoughts.
Very cute movie. Yeah. I really liked Amanda Sternberg's performance. It's so cute, and the whole thing is so cute, and I just really like it. And I totally recommend that you see it and enjoy it, and also be aware of some of its issues because everything is problematic, but it can still be your favorite.
I do think this movie does continue on with showing disabled people as not having fulfilling lives until something. She's been alive for like
18 years.
Yeah, she's had life. You know, she's living her life, and so like it definitely continues on with that. And so I think that is kind of and I do think as well that it's like this is a movie based off of a book, and they could have done something where it was like research more about SCID and find out about treatments and stuff like this, so that it was a more realistic portrayal.
And
I would have appreciated that. Yeah, I know, but like,
I mean, I think that's part of the story is that like she doesn't really have it, and her mom isn't really treating her in a way that is like medically sound, because her whole thing is I have to keep her inside and keep her away from everything. But like
we don't know that, and then she doesn't know that. It seems like she's she has access to the internet. Yeah. Like she could have been looking up more about like I think even if she has like a really rare form. I'm just saying it's definitely a problem. Having said that, I did like this movie. It was cute. And cute and very cute, and you guys, it's a cute movie. I like this movie.
It's very cute. I don't know if you want to include this because it's so towards the end, but I'm thinking now, like, it's also part of this trope that, like, even if you're able-bodied, your life doesn't really begin until you have a romantic relationship, which is clearly not accurate, but also it's a romance movie. I mean, I'm not mad at the movie for having romance, but I think like I'm not mad at stories that are like that have romance.
It's a legitimate
just kind
critique
of
overwhelming,
movies and books and pop culture in general to have like an emphasis on you
have
to have a romantic relationship, otherwise you're not really living. And I would submit that you can have a lot of significant, fulfilling relationships without any of them being romantic. Yeah. That's fine. But also, this is a really cute movie that is romantic, and I like it.
You guys, this movie! That's it for this episode. The next one we're going to review is
Wonder Woman!
We're very excited. I'm very excited to see this movie. I'm really excited to see if it's good. It looks good to me.
I'm very excited.
We'll see what happens. You'll hear from us soon.
Bye!
Bye.